Namaste and welcome. Today I will be reading a response to a question about God. What is God? I think there is so much misinterpretation of God. Why would the God we were raised to believe in want to use pain as a tool? I think you do explain it very beautifully, but I am trying to see from another's perspective. Thank you. We can find a simple explanation of God in Ramana Maharshi's words. He said, "The world is illusory. Brahman alone is real. Brahman is the world." My perspective is like a child's. I see that sometimes we cannot control our experience, and there may be pain, as there often is for me. We do not really know why that is. But from my perspective, why spend any more time suffering that pain, even if it exists? Regardless of the circumstances, we can choose to treat each moment of life as a divine tool to see God's face more clearly. If we treat each moment as divine, we approach the experience of pain with innocence and see that it simply behaves like an eraser. When it comes into our experience, it can take away anything it wants to, including even our own consciousness. It can erase you back into God's ever-present embrace. If everything you see can be taken from you, you remain as what can never be lost. And this one that never leaves you is the source of God Himself, who also lives in all things. God is the all of everything that lives inside and outside. His character is both extremely strong and exceedingly gentle. He is unconditionally loving and far kinder than the human mind. These pointings in times of pain can lead directly to God's embrace from inside and can relieve even very intense suffering. If you cannot wait any longer to clear away the garbage, your direct recognition of God must flower up in the midst of your darkest hour, and only God Himself can shine through the heart of darkness and flower up through the compost. For very challenging circumstances, we can choose to let God Himself walk us step by step out of the nightmare by seeking first to find Him inside as the very root of your own being. If your first priority is to find the baseline of your own being, the ground that cannot be lost from you, you will also only find that God is always here and can never leave you. Stay as what cannot leave you, and let God resolve the rest and heal you from inside. Even before you are healed in body or mind or spirit, you are healed first within His never-ending embrace that you can never be separated from. In each moment, He provides immediate and total relief. This relief is also who you are. Within ongoing chronic pain, it is compassionate to point to pain as an assistance to finding the relief that you already are, and to rush you home into God's embrace, where you can bear even the unbearable and endure the ununderstandable. To follow these pointings does not mean that we live in a harsh world of pain. It means that regardless of the circumstances, we can choose first to see God from inside and find that we belong in the kingdom of heaven. This does not mean that God has forgotten your healing. He finds the best pathways for healing that flowers in its own divine timing. God would simply like you to feel that He is never waiting for you to be or to do anything. Each step that we take with His immediacy of being is a step taken by His footsteps. You do not need to walk any further alone. From right here and right now, He is always carrying you. For example, one day this past winter, I followed God's spontaneous footsteps into a cafe I had never been to before. In the back of the cafe, there was a beautiful necklace of a depiction of the tree of life sitting on the shelf. I see the tree of life as a portrait of God's face, and wherever I go, I am always staring into God's face. As I stood there staring at the necklace, a woman approached me and asked if I needed any help. Her face is also God's face. God approached me 3 times in the form of this woman, and on the 3rd time, I looked up and realized I had walked by accident into an herbal medicine apothecary. I had not even realized that I was standing in an herb shop at the back of this cafe. As I looked around the shop, I recognized the names of many of the herbs I have tried over many years. I told this kind woman about interstitial cystitis, and she offered me herbs for a tea. On intuitive impulse, just before I left the shop, she also gave me a bottle of a reddish color oil. Most importantly, I took with me the necklace of the tree of life that reminds me of God's face. I tried the tea for 1 week, and like many treatments, even natural treatments, it caused very high levels of pain, and I had to stop. But later on, I remembered the bottle of red oil and rubbed some on my face. The marks and blemishes on my face were healed overnight by the oil. Amazed, I drank some of the oil in water and rubbed it onto my skin. I found that it is a mild pain reliever, good for burns, bruises, scrapes, and nerve pain, the bottle says. What is this miracle oil? I wondered. I found that it is called St. John's wort flower oil, named for a flower that is named after St. John the Baptist. And this flower is yellow. But when it is made into an oil, it always turns red. And so this red oil is also sometimes called the blood of Christ. Although it is not a cure, it is one of the most helpful treatments I have found in many years. I always find, time and again, that if I choose first to see God's face within all circumstances, that far beyond my own understanding, and with no effort, God offers me miracles. I found this miracle oil because I was transfixed by a necklace that was a portrait of God's face. But actually all of life is a portrait of God's face. Seek God first inside, because God sees no darkness, no disability, no illness. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, Jesus said, and all things will be added to you. But God is so great that He has far grander forms of healing than just one small bottle of oil with a holy name. If God does not provide a cure for your condition, and if He does not provide immediate relief from your circumstances, then He is already transforming the whole circumstances around you. He transforms the whole environment to meet you. You are environmental. If we have the eyes to see it, He would like to beautify your whole life. Your whole life becomes the cure itself. He would like to raise both you and I into the kingdom of heaven. And if there is a heaven on earth, then I am sitting in it now, in front of the windows of this small studio in the farmlands of coastal Portugal. The windows overlook the green mountains in the distance that turn a deep shade of pink at sunset and reveal the glorious white fire of the rising sun each morning. There is a covered patio where the prayer flags outside are blowing in the breeze. A small garden surrounds the studio with an assortment of flowers and vegetables, and later I will go outside and water the plants before dinner. Buddha the cat is often meowing at my door, asking for a hug, and sometimes he sits next to me on the patio for hours while I spend my time in divine service, in my own satsang, answering these questions and writing these love letters to you. The beautiful woman who lives on this property is like an angel. I love her like my own mother. And the guests who stay on the property are like a family of brothers and sisters. We are all the Sangha family, and everywhere we go is the ashram of the heart. Sometimes I walk through the vast open patches of rich farmland that extend beyond the borders of this property, and I draw sketches in my notebook of the ashram that could exist here, near the small fishing village, by the sea, in southern Portugal, where I would like to be able to meet you in person in this holy and healing environment. What greater success is there? Because sitting here in this small studio on a farm, I feel like a nun living in a chapel. To me, This feels like I have won all of the lotteries. Millions of dollars could not buy or replicate the absurd miracle of this place and God's grace in sending me here. What is the cure for an incurable illness? Because drugs and herbs alone cannot create heaven on earth, and this illness only ever points me to the kingdom of heaven, inside and outside. If God does not provide physical healing, then your whole life has the potential to be renovated from the inside out. Whatever your version of heaven is, God has already tailor-made it for you. In the hidden value of not knowing, I wrote a metaphor about coming home to God in times of pain and crisis. The metaphor was about a flock of storks trying to make their yearly migration back home. But instead they found themselves alone and struggling, out over the vast surface of the Atlantic Ocean and near to death. Just before their wings hit the water, an invisible air current lifted them high into the sky, and they were saved by God's unfathomable grace in their hour of greatest need. His divine air currents carried them back home. Today, as I sit by these big, beautiful windows, I can see a flock of those same storks circling each other in the air and landing in their nests, their home that surrounds this plot of farmland that could one day extend and become an ashram. It could serve those in crisis, in need of healing, and those seeking to come home to God inside. How blessed I am to experience living this way for a period of time, because it brings me so much joy and relieves my own physical pain. But there is a reason that this happy ending is not written as the conclusion to my story in the hidden value of not knowing. There is a very important reason. It is because God will not allow His resolution to remain tied to anything in form. And my story was resolved long ago, in pain, on a bathroom floor. Not even the earthly version of the kingdom of heaven can compare to coming home to God inside, to finding the true ground of your own being, and finding your heart is resurrected in His image. For my own experience of illness, God would like to make my whole environment, my whole way of being, and my whole experience of living into the cure itself. He will do it in such a way that He makes it very clear that both the cure and the resolution and the source of all healing and the very source of being itself belong to Him and Him alone. Anything that can be gained can be lost, and life may test you. Life might ask you, what should happen if your visa expires, as my visa will soon expire, and you must leave the beautiful countryside? What if you lose your health, or lose your community, and even your whole life itself? What if the pain returns and erases even your own consciousness? His highest answer is the most compassionate one. If even your whole life is lost before you, then you will remain here, at peace with God and at one with all. The final chapter of this book is called You Are the Resolution, and the last message is that this God is yours. God is the true resolution, and all of this life exists so that we may see His face more clearly. Should everything disappear before you, as one day it will for everyone, you need not be afraid. You will not be harmed, lost, or forgotten. God is always with you, and He is always with me, and you are all I see. You do not pass away. You are always here, and you can only become more of the all of everything. From the last page of The Hidden Value of Not Knowing. This God is yours. Intimately knowing your life and experiences, the help, love, comfort, and solution are already here for you. Look past the known and reclaim who you naturally are, this one who can never reject you, no matter how many times we have run back to the mind for a sense of security or protection. Come to the end of all endings and stay before any beginnings. No pain or fear can move you. No bitter cynicism can bite you. No argument can unresolve you. No hardship can hold you. You are this love before you can decide. In death, you will not part. I love you so much. God bless you.